With the upcoming release of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom to theaters, I figured we would have a look at some of the offerings from the folks over at Mattel. This is the Mattel Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Indoraptor. Now imagine, if you will, the Indominus Rex, a fraction of the size, but still deadly, intelligent, able to hide from most advanced military technology, and a living weapon unlike anything we've seen before. The Indoraptor is the latest hybrid dinosaur from the Nightmare Factory known as Dr. Henry Wu's lab. A little bit of assembly is required when you first get the Indoraptor out of packaging. It's basically this part of this tail that you have to peg into the mid-section of the tail, and then you're good to go. If we take the tape measure, let's figure out how big the dinosaur is, both height and length. Grabbing the tape measure, taking it from the bottom of its feet to the top of its crown, you're looking at about a 7-inch tall dinosaur. If we take it to the end of the tail, now the tail has a permanent curl to it, so it's not something you can straighten out. From the tip of the tail to the bridge or the end of its nose, you're looking at almost exactly 15 inches. Now, the packaging touts this as being a movie-accurate, movie-authentic posability, and I have to say that everything you would want this dinosaur to be able to do, at least from the standpoint of posability, it can pretty much accomplish that. We'll talk about that in a second, because I want to spend some time talking about the dinosaur itself. Is definitely, you can see the markings of both the Indominus Rex as well as the Raptor. Generally, like, the shape of it conveys that of the Raptor, but you can see like the larger end, the larger bridge of the nose kind of being similar to the T-Rex or the Indominus Rex. The jaw is actually very similar as well to what we would have gotten with the Indominus Rex also. It is cast in this glorious, almost shiny black plastic. There is definitely a sheen that's resonating off of the textured skin that they've put all across the figure. Really, from the top of the nose all the way down to the tail, you are very generously treated to all this glorious scaling. Both the scaling on the sides as well as the more ribbed scaling along the top, leading its way to these individual spikelets. And these spikes are of a softer variety. They're more of a softer plastic, so they're not going to break, and equally so, you're not going to have to worry that they're too prickly. They're a nice softer material, which also can be said for the top area here, which is also, again, that softer plastic. The mouth does open and close rather nicely, and inside you are treated to a painted tongue, as well as the individual serrated teeth. Something else that is a trait to the Indoraptor is the red markings that run out from the very piercing red eyeballs all the way out to the side, right above, right basically underneath the brow. You get these little markings running on either side, on that side and on this side here. Actually, based on the way that the scaling is, as well as this additional gold, it kind of reminds me of like an anaconda. It's not only just that gold color, but you've also got almost a metallic yellow that's underneath that too. Again, really looks very reptilian, even though, again, it's from the bird species. The figure actually stands rather well on its hind feet, coupling for the fact that you've got the balancing of the tail on the end there. You can really get the toy to stand rather nicely, I have to admit, on its legs. I would have actually enjoyed if they had put, maybe at the very least, one peg hole in the underside of its foot. Granted, the other side will be used for the Dinosaur Jurassic Park Facts app, which I'll show you that in a second as well. But if they had only put a peg on one, at the very least, one of its 2 feet, you could have actually had the legs moving almost as if it's moving forward aggressively. I suppose you could still accomplish that but it doesn't involve having the feet be completely flat in order to accommodate that. You definitely start seeing that he gets a little wobbly. Yes, it is a he after all. Gets a little wobbly when you start moving the legs, so you have to kind of compensate. You can get a wider stance as if it is moving, but you have to make sure that the feet are firmly planted. If not, it does want to topple over. But I have to admit, it's actually rather well balanced. I think a lot of that can be chalked up to the fact that the tail is as long as it is. If the tail was shorter, the majority of the weight would be sitting on this side, and thereby the dinosaur would tip forward. I really love this. I love the coloring of it. I've always been a big fan of raptors, and the Indominus Rex was such an impressive, I guess, villain, if you want to think of it that way, in the original Jurassic World. That by taking those two dinosaurs and merging them together, I think supposedly this is going to be the last hybrid of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies. I think after that they're going to try to stick it closer to the more realistic species of dinosaurs present at the time that the dinosaur age ruled over the planet. I kind of like the idea of a hybrid dinosaur. It adds to a much more kind of dark horror sci-fi end of it, that you are splicing DNA and creating such a powerful menace such as this. But it is going to be a little sad that they're not going to pursue that with future movies. Like I said, he is super posable, and we'll run through its posability right now. First, for starters, you can take the neck and you can rotate the head all the way around. I guess to that regard as well, you can slightly angle the head back and forth too. So between that and having the mouth open, you get some really nice natural gestures, natural poses for the Indoraptor here. Of course, the mouth does open and close. We've already discussed that. The shoulders are hingeable. Like I said, everything you would want this dinosaur to do, it does do, and it does do it very well. You got the hinge forward on the arm. Again, that arm rotates all the way around. Depending on which direction that hinge socket sits, so you'll see like the groove here in which the pin sits itself in, will basically determine which way the arm moves. So if it's facing out this way, of course the arm's going to be able to go out this way and vice versa. But a good range of motion. You pretty much can have it to the point where the arm is almost touching the shoulder area. In fact, let's see if I can actually get the shoulder to bend here all the way up. In theory, it could technically hold its own arm, if you want to kind of just gauge as to how wide that motion will allow you. The hands, the individual hands, rotate, as well as a hinge back and forth. And then we get to the legs. The legs are super impressive. They're not as forgiving, I would say, posability-wise, but they do hinge outward. That's to about the extent that the legs will move outward. They could technically rotate all the way around. Of course, you may not want to display it with the leg up like that, but at the very least you can see that it is possible. Then you've got a hinge essentially where its knee would be, and its hind leg, you've got a secondary hinge happening right there. There's no additional posability in its clawed feet, nor do I really think it necessarily needs it. It does everything so well. I don't feel I'm robbed at all by the fact it doesn't have posability here. In fact, if you had anything here, it would gamble the fact that eventually this may get loose. This hinge joint here may eventually get loose because generally, though, hind leg hinges usually get loose because they're supporting the toy on its own. That that by just unfortunate trade-off eventually will be the loosest point down the road. But so far so good. The joints are nice and tight on Indoraptor here. And then lastly, the tail itself hinges back and forth. I suppose you could rotate it, but because it's an oval shape, it's not a full circle shape, you really can't rotate the tail all the way around. But it does wag, if you want a wagging tail of your dinosaur. And then the secondary tail, the secondary hinge of the tail, does bend here. It's to note as well that this is a plastic. Basically, the majority of the Indoraptor is plastic, except for the soft rubber here. The tail also is a softer material. This is plastic. This is a softer, almost like a softer rubber material. And there, we just get him to stand. Again, fairly easy, actually. Get him to stand. There is the Indoraptor. The last really cool thing I want to show you is the Jurassic World Facts app, which I've already taken the liberty of installing to the phone itself. All the larger dinosaurs, I believe, do have the scannable track markers. They're basically on the undersides of the feet right there. And you can go in and you can scan those to get some much needed information about the dinosaur that you now have in your collection. So we're going to go ahead and start up the app. Doesn't actually take very long at all for it to start. And you've got the opener here of the entranceway of Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World. You've got yourself a map. You've got yourself a collection of the dinosaurs that we have so far. Now, I've just recently started this app, so the only thing I have right now is the Dilophosaurus. And we're going to go into scan. Just checking the Dilophosaurus out. Going to go into scan. And you're going to take the dinosaur's feet as best that you can. And you're going to scan it in that little shield marker there. Once scanned in, now you've got yourself the Indoraptor as part of your collection. And you can go into the bottom indicator there, and now you have little tips, little things that you may not have known. In the film, Indoraptor can move fast in total silence, even in darkness. In the film, Indoraptor is always hungry and hunting for prey. In the film, Indoraptor is aggressive to everything being around. In the film, Indoraptor shows an extremely high level of intelligence. And in the film, the Indoraptor weighs 2,200 pounds, which is basically like a cow and a half. As cool as this does look, I do wish that there was a way to rotate the dinosaur. Something where you could zoom in, or you could take the dinosaur and rotate it 360 degrees. It's impressive that you do have a visual of what the dinosaur will look like, but as much as I love the facts, I wish that I could get a little bit closer details at how cool the Indoraptor looks in the app here. I'm really excited to see how the Indoraptor plays out in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Of course, I am a bit of a sucker when it comes to the old monster movies, those old Frankenstein monster type movies where a scientist wants to splice two creatures together because they think, what's the worst that can happen? As I'm sure will be the case here in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, what's the worst that can happen? We'll take the DNA of an Indominus Rex and we'll mix it with a raptor, two of the deadliest dinosaur species in all the Jurassic Park films. What's the worst that can happen? Well, we'll see when Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom hits theaters. I'm sure this little chap right here will claim many lives until hopefully he's finally stopped. I'm, again, very happy to see how he's going to play out in film form, in plastic form. I think Mattel has done an outstanding job on this release. Not only is he super detailed, not much in the way of paint, but certainly gets it a point across with the sculpting of this glorious shiny black plastic. Not to mention he's super poseable as well, so you can really pretty much get him in any pose that a living raptor would be able to do. Although you may not want to manipulate the arms of a real-life Indoraptor. It's probably going to take your head right off. Today we were having a look, though, at the new Mattel offering of Jurassic Park's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This was the Indoraptor. You guys like videos like this? Hit it with a like down below and let me know what you guys think of the Indoraptor. Do you think he's going to be pretty impressive when he makes his appearance known in the new Jurassic Park? And also let me know, are you guys excited for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when it hits theaters? Interested in hearing your thoughts down below. We're going to be doing some more of these dinosaur reviews, so certainly stay tuned for that. Of course, other videos will be coming your way as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.